All right, everybody, welcome to the Essential Credentials Podcast, episode 7. I am joined by a couple of buddies of mine, returning guests. We have Alan here today.
What's going on, guys?
And Nate, a.k.a.
Topps85401.
Hey, guys, thanks so much for joining at the last minute, really. I know we told everybody, Greg and I, who is not here tonight. Greg is protecting everybody in Tennessee because of a storm. And so he's going to be working tonight. But yeah, so kind of last minute, we were planning on having Rodney on the show. And he had some scheduling conflicts. So did I. And so we had to pull a show together. And we thought, thanks to Nate's bright idea and one of the videos that he posted, he said, you guys need to show more cards in your podcast. So today is that day. This episode is that episode. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty excited to show off some of these cards. We've got some amazing cards to show off, kind of a 90s showcase. Real simple, but a video that I think a lot of people are going to watch and go look for those cards later. So I hope everybody's as excited as I am.
Absolutely.
It's going to be fun.
All right, sweet. So we're going to just jump right into it. We both know a little bit about both of you already. Alan, you're a bit newer into the 90s still. Have you been, versing yourself even more since our last podcast on some of the background on these cards?
I have, but I've been mostly focusing on that list that I talked about, the top 10 cards that I wanted to find. And I finally did land one from the top of my list, which was highly satisfactory. Like, I was really pleased about that. But, I also picked up some smaller cards really recently. And I've begun relearning the lesson that some of these cards that are worth like $1 bring as much pleasure when you're looking at it as a card that's cost like $100. And so I'm having kind of a crisis right now of which cards I should go for, because these expensive cards are great, but if this $1 card is doing it for me, maybe I need to switch up my list a little bit.
Right. No, that's a really good point. I mean, Nate, wouldn't you agree? I mean, how many cards that you have in your collection that cost maybe $1 or $2 look just as good as these ones that we're dropping, $50 to $100 on?
There are a lot of really nice cards that cost $1. As a player collector, it just depends on whether you want to start with, picking up the cards, the tough to find cards when they're available, or whether you want to pick up quantity. But as far as enjoyment at looking at the cards, a lot of the less expensive cards are just as enjoyable as the high dollar cards. Absolutely.
Right. And if anybody has watched our previous podcast, Tanner Jones, who's been on here before, he's been doing a really cool job of showing off really basic inserts. And he's gotten people to buy complete sets of these inserts that are like $1 or $2 a piece per player, no matter who it is. And so that's been really cool to see some of these, lesser appreciated inserts kind of coming back a little bit, just like Alan said. And so, yeah, that's awesome, Alan, that you're figuring that out. I mean, the 90s has so much diversity to offer, when it comes to cards. And you're right. I've picked up some cheap cards that are super rare that people for some reason don't value, but I do. And that is what the most important thing is. So, so that's awesome. Would you like to get us started? What's the first card in the showcase? What was that one you crossed off your top 10 list?
Okay, the one that I'm most proud of for finally landing is this one here.
That's
I've
such
seen
a beauty.
it. Yeah, it really is unique. I don't see a lot of cards shown off by you guys in the 90s group that looks quite like this. But I know a lot of you have it already, and I felt like it was going to be a long time before I finally landed it. Finally saw it on eBay. Wasn't being sold by one of the hostage holders, so I went ahead and went aggressive and landed it, and I'm very happy to have it. It was number 9 on my list, so now I have a new top 10 list.
So for everybody listening, Alan, can you tell us what card you have there?
This is the Ultimate Victory parallel out of 100, right? And it's from 1999. So that's cool. All I know about it. I don't know anything more.
That card is so beautiful. It looks like galvanized metal that's melting or something. It's just so beautiful.
It looks like oil spots, but like beautifully done, like iridescent beauty. So I'm really stoked about getting this in. I've been looking at it a lot. But, while we're on the topic of $1 cards, I just got this one in yesterday, and I know it doesn't look really that spectacular. I'm not exactly quite sure what it was. It's just something that I picked up because I was buying another card, and they had Bonds cards. And just this little foil area, like the shine of it is mesmerizing. And I know that this is the most common of the many different parallels in this set, but this was $1. And I've been looking at this card as much as any of the other cards that I've been getting in recently. I don't even know why. I just happened to like this card.
You got a good buy on that card. Those typically sell for more than $1. If I recall, they're numbered to 3,999.
That is exactly right.
Yep.
Did
Very
you
familiar with that set.
Have the most difficult one to get? I think it's like out of 20 or 40
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, I do have that card.
I remember you getting that one and being really stoked about it. So I don't know how they look. Do they look the same except for the fact that it's die cut?
No, actually the texture on it is more of like a leather texture almost. Or
Okay.
yeah, I mean it's a really interesting texture. It doesn't have the shine where that foil is on that card. It's a different card for sure. So
Okay. And then along the lines of that, another card the card that I was buying originally that card came with was this Rave Reviews. I mean, it just looked like a nice card. So I picked it up and it's a great looking card. It's not expensive. It was like $10.
And that doesn't make much sense. And I've talked about this so many times. So let's go back to the card here. That is the hardest card to pull from that set, from 97 circa. Obviously, the most desired card from that set would be the Raves and the Super Raves, which came in 98. But that is the case hit right there. That was one per case. And you can find those for very, very cheap for what I think they should go for. Go for it out.
Yeah, that's because that card's not numbered. But like if you look in Beckett, they list it as a $50 card. But you could find it for 10, and it's because it's not numbered. So as a 90s collector, it's always nice to know what's rare but available for a good price if it's not numbered. And that's a perfect example right there.
I am going to depend on you guys so much at the National to be able to help me with this, because I cannot tell literally like a 50-cent card from a $500 card sometimes without knowing what you know. There's just no way to tell, right?
Well, to springboard off that, I'll go next with my first card. And you're just talking about that, Nate. If it's not numbered, people don't know how rare it is. And I think this might be like the rare I don't know, it doesn't follow the rule, you know what I mean? And that's from 99 Onyx, and this is the holographics insert. Yeah. And one of my favorites, I got to try to get the shine going on here, but these were 1 out of 1,500 packs, so you had to buy like 5 or 6 cases to find one. I've debated a lot with all of you how many there are. I'm saying there's 50 or less, but can you imagine how much more this card would be worth if it was numbered to 50 or like 35 or 40 or something like that? I mean, it would be just ridiculous. But funny that you mentioned that. I was looking on those PWC completed auctions. They got that little website where you can check how much things are worth, how much they've sold for in the past, which is really our Beckett nowadays. I was looking back in about 2010, somebody sold one and it sold for $8.99. And I was just like, oh my gosh, what was I doing in 2010? I should have been all over that, like I'd missed it. But, those bring a premium now. And I think those are kind of the exception to the rule, where we all know just how difficult they are. But just think about it. I'd say the value doubles if those are numbered to 50 or numbered to 25. Can you imagine?
That's amazing to me. That's not how I would have reacted to it. I figured, that card is already really expensive, especially the Griffies. You're saying that would actually be worth more if they printed the actual print run on there?
I'm predicting it would be. But what do you think, Nate?
Absolutely, because you don't have to do your homework to find out what the print run is on that card. All you have to do is turn it over if it has a serial number. And that's what kind of makes the 90s collecting so much fun, is knowing the difference between what a rare card is and what a rare card, or just more of a common card. And that's you just have to be around the hobby to know that. It's not something that anybody's going to know. So as collectors, we could always find diamonds in the rough by knowing what is rare. But that holographics card is unbelievable. I wish Bonds was on that set.
Me too.
I still can't believe that he's not in there. I mean, why is Kerry Wood in that set? I mean, he had 20 strikeouts in one game, and everybody's like, oh, he's the next Randy Johnson, and he was in every insert set, and now he's not in there anymore. So, sorry about that, guys.
Kerry Wood is officially the whipping boy of this show.
Yeah, he is. He is. I know. Well, you can go grab that insert for like $10. So if anybody's listening, if the Kerry Wood pops up, nobody else is going to buy it. So go for it.
Hey, I still remember that 20 strikeout game. I was watching it on ESPN. Unbelievable ball game.
Yeah, he was dealing that game. I mean, I was watching a video, and some of the strikeout calls were like that far outside, and the ump's like, "Nope, you're gone." You know, like, let's get this game over with. So that was pretty funny. All right, Nate, you're up. What you got?
All
first?
right, so I'm going to start with a card. I actually traded like 3 or 4 Bonds cards to acquire this card, and it is the 1999 Bowman's Best. This is the subset card from the 99 Bowman's Best. Here, let me just make sure I got. But for whatever reason, of any base refractor I've ever seen, this is the single shiniest base refractor of all time. When you look at the etching, the refractiveness, I mean, they must have put some kind of special refractor coating on this card because it is just unbelievable.
Very nice.
Absolutely gorgeous card.
Now, is that the refractor out of 100, out of 400, or the atomic out of 100?
No, this is the refractor out of 400.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and when you look at the etching and just all the detail, like look at where it says McGuire, and then the 25. I mean, just everything has the etching, and I mean, even the creases in his pants,
right?
His shoes, just so much detail.
So beautiful.
This card is just unbelievable.
Yeah,
Love this card.
What's really strange is if you go back to 98 Bowman's Best, that's 99. The atomic refractors were amazing, and I was able to find the atomic of A-Rod like that, and it doesn't shine that much. It wasn't very expensive, but it's still numbered out of 100. I was thinking, well, how do the atomics differ from the original refractors? I mean, I know you have both of them, but have you seen much of a difference? I feel like they almost look like the same card.
In 99 Bowman's Best, they almost look the same. The only difference is, I mean, I don't have my Bonds available, but I mean, basically like the lines on the border are just kind of broken up. There's not a huge difference from the atomic to the regular.
I think that's why that doesn't bring as much of a premium as the 98 does, because they're so similar, you know?
Yeah, the 98, there's a huge difference between the base refractor and the atomic compared to the 99. But this particular subset, best performers, this subset just is eye-popping. I mean, it'll blind you.
Yeah, it is really, really nice. I mean, I can see why you were such a refractor guy, because, I mean, come on, there's nothing that really stands out like that from the 90s as far as the shine goes. Alan, have you seen these cards before? Is this your first time?
I was just going to say, I've never seen that card before. I don't know why it's not favored by collectors, but that's the first time I've ever laid eyes on it. I will be sure to go back and rewatch this episode to try to identify all the cards that I've never seen before and put them on the list.
Yeah, Bonds does not have a best performer subset card from this set, but the players that do, it's unbelievable. I mean, he just has the regular refractor from that set. But I love that card.
Well,
beautiful card.
Like you said, Alan, you were going to come back and rewatch this. Something that I want to tell everybody that's either watching now or is going to watch this episode is in the bottom or in the description underneath what this episode is all about. I'm going to link 3 Imager links, and each of them will go to pictures of all the cards that Nate and Alan and myself are showing off. So if anybody would like to go and look at those, they'll be even more detailed than what our webcams are doing somewhat justice to these cards. I know mine's not for sure. But, yeah, for anybody that wants to know, we're going to have pictures of those to check out later. So awesome. Well, I'd say that was a pretty good start. Nate, thanks for that. Alan, why don't you show us another one that you'd like to showcase here a little bit? I don't know if you can match the refractor shine of that last card, but
yeah, there's no way. That's beautiful. And I think Nate brought up a great point, which is that not all cards shine the same. I mean, the artists who design these cards make a specific decision on what they want to shine, and it makes a huge difference in how much you can enjoy a card. One of my very favorite cards that I want to show next is the 1999 Stadium Club Triumvirate Luminescent. It's in a rainbow of 3 different types of cards. This is the second most rare. It's made of acetate. So the reason I even knew what it was because I was on the 90s group a few months ago and I asked everybody to tell me like what the best acetate sets are. And I think Rodney was the one who suggested that I look into this set. So I put it on my list, and it's one of my all-time favorite cards because of the way it shines, and it was designed to shine this particular way. And I've always wanted to know what the even rarer part of the rainbow looked like. I haven't been able to find the illuminator for Bonds, but I picked up my secondary PC guy, A-Rod, to try to get a look at how it looks. And I actually think I prefer the luminescent because it's like a more solid shine. On the Illuminator, it actually, because it's kind of a see-through card, that's the main thing that distinguishes this one from the other one.
Right.
Because of that, they only selected some parts of the card to shine. Whereas, you know, if you look at this, it's just no comparison. This one just blows you away. It's just a gorgeous sheen.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's it's one of my all-time favorites. It came in a group of cards that, you know, are also in my favorites. The 1999 Ionics Tech Reciprocal, the one that I showed the last time I was on the show.
Right.
And then later on in the show, I'm going to show a third card from that magnificent batch of cards that are like amongst my favorite Bonds cards right now.
Awesome. I remember seeing those for the first time, and I was wondering like what all the die cuts were going on. It's pretty awesome because there's 3 cards in the set per team, and they go together to make the whole, like a whole banner type looking thing. I don't know if anybody's ever seen all 3 of them together from the same team, but it would be pretty cool. I'm never going to have all 3 because Griffey is in my set, so I'm in trouble there.
Yeah.
That's never going to happen unless I can borrow Rodney's for a picture or something. But
yeah, I've actually seen uncut proofs where they'll have all 3 of the cards before the die cut is out. And
really,
yeah, and if you have all 3 of them, you could like put them together like a puzzle.
Right. Like a jigsaw puzzle, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
yeah.
And they kind of go in an arc too, right? So you couldn't put them in like one of those long magnetic cases because it kind of goes like a rainbow almost, right?
Well, when they're die cut, it is a little bit different, yeah.
Okay.
Compared to like an uncut sheet.
You're saying, oh, an uncut sheet. I was going to say, are there cards out here like this that are regular sized, regular shaped cards that look like this? Because if there are, I would totally be into getting them.
I have a proof that they cut the Bonds part out, but it's not the width of a regular card because of the way that those cards are. It's kind of like, I guess whoever cut it, they cut a sheet, but the 3 cards don't make like a regular size card if you put them all next to each other. It makes kind of like the 3 of them probably make 2.5, the width of 2.5 cards.
I see. Okay.
Very cool. Awesome. Wow. Yeah, I remember seeing that card and it really standing out. That, and I think the year prior, the 98 Stadium Club, those are very nice too. Almost like a baseball glove looking thing. It's really cool. Like that. Well, you said the word rainbow, and I was looking at my stack, and I wasn't going to do this one yet because it's definitely not going to show off as well as I'd like it to, but this is probably one of the best looking cards I've ever seen, and this is from 99 Topps Chrome, Fortune 15 refractor. And, oh, yeah, there we go. I'm getting a little shine. Yay, it works.
Yeah, very nice.
It's one of my favorites. There's a couple reasons why. I love that you got kind of the warm-up picture of A-Rod there. He's one of the few cards where he's throwing that I really like, but it's all about the rainbow action, man. I love it. It doesn't refractor on the back. If it did, it would probably be like too good of a card, but it is numbered out of 100. I don't know if anybody can see that there, but I remember wanting this card super bad, and it never showed up on eBay for like 3 years. So it was my number one want. And another A-Rod collector named Brant, who I know Nate knows, started getting rid of a bit of his collection, and I was like, dude, you have to sell that card to me if you're going to get rid of it. He's like, I don't know, maybe. What do you want? What can you give me for it? So we worked on a few deals. So if you ever see this, Brant, I appreciate it, man. It's one of my favorite cards of all time. It's got some of the best. 99 Topps Chrome probably has the best refractor of any of the cards, and maybe 99 in general, because Nate, you were saying the 99 Bowman's Best is your favorite refractor. I think 99 Topps Chrome, all of those refractors, the all etch, the base, the Fortune 15, the early Road to the Hall, they're all like really, really shiny. And that's definitely a card that's always going to be, in my top 5 forever for sure. But love that card. Is Bonds in the Fortune 15? I feel like he is.
He is not in Fortune 15.
Oh, man.
No, he is not.
And that is why, I don't think as much of the set, because I haven't seen the card in person, and both Matt and Greg have said that the card is amazing in person. So I think it's something I have to see. And I remember, Matt, one of the very first conversations I had with you, maybe the very first, when I was talking to you about maybe collecting A-Rod, you told me there are some amazing cards out there, and that was the one you highlighted as the card to get.
Yeah.
that's sort of undervalued and that people don't pay enough attention to. So
Yeah, now
Yeah,
that I had it, I told you about it.
Yeah, it's funny, Matt. Your first two cards are cards that Bonds doesn't have an insert of, but that's that's what makes the 90s fun. A lot of those 10-card insert sets, not every player can be in that 10-card insert set. So every player collector has a set that they can introduce into the community based on the player that they collect. And I'm always running into sets I've never seen before because obviously Bonds isn't in everything.
Right.
Yeah, that reminds me of that one sick post you put in the 90s group, Matt, where you put like 6 gorgeous low-end A-Rod cards, and none of them were in sets that Bonds appeared in. So I was like drooling over it, and then I was disappointed immediately afterwards.
Well, before you guys get all disappointed, can I just again point out that Alex Rodriguez is not in any 97 Topps products, not Finest, none of the gold embossed refractors. He's in none of that. So, I mean, those are like the best cards, which I'm kind of happy about because it's one less big-time card to chase, but he is not in there. So, I don't know if that's a great segue for you, Nate. I don't know if that's where you're going next, but yeah. Anyways, how can we are we keeping with the shine theme here?
Yeah. Let me show off another shiny card. Speaking of shine, this is my all-time favorite refractor of Barry Bonds, and so I think I guess I'll go ahead and show this one.
He's got the smirk on his face. Oh yeah, I knew you were.
But
going
it's
there.
the 1997 gold embossed refractor.
Oh, what a beauty! Look at that card. Holy moly!
This card is so beautiful. It looks like it should be in a showcase at a jewelry store. I mean, it sparkles. You know, like when you look at diamonds in the jewelry store, how they just tend to sparkle more.
Yes.
When they're in the showcase. Well, that's how this card looks. But the front is beautiful enough. But when you turn it over on the back,
wow,
you get equal shine.
Okay, hold on.
You can see where it's embossed right.
That's what I was going to ask. It almost looked like a wrinkle on the back. Yeah, because you can't really tell if it's embossed. So the picture of the player is embossed on the card.
Yeah, it's on the front of the card. So that's why on the back it looks, it doesn't match up to the image of Bonds on the back because the embossment is embossed where he is oriented on the front of the card.
Oh man, if only I could. I need to get Tanner to make me a custom card of A-Rod like that.
And then of course the edges are decal edge as well. Wow. So this card is just absolutely stunning.
That's awesome.
I can look at it all day, and I've seen 6 of these pop up on eBay since I've been collecting Bonds. So a few of them have surfaced. The one I was able to pick up is a 4th one that popped up. I lost out on the first 3, and then since I picked mine up, I've seen 2 more surface. So 6 total in about 18, 19 years. So they don't pop up too often, about once every 3 years.
And every player in the set has a gold embossed refractor. Is that correct? So if somebody wants to just see what they look like, you can get, like a Deion Sanders or somebody who doesn't.
No, only the players that have a gold card in the set has a gold embossed refractor.
And that's how many?
So these are the ones where it says on the back where it says rare.
Oh,
hopefully
okay.
That'll pick it up.
There we go. Not quite, but we can have you take a picture of that, Nate, so everybody can see it. Click on the link, but
yeah, so it'll say rare, because like on the 97 Finest, it'll say common, uncommon, and rare. So any card that's in the rare will have the gold embossed. Actually, the uncommon is a silver, and they have an embossed one as well. There's a silver embossed as well as a gold embossed. So, but yeah,
is that the one Jeter's on? The silver?
I'd have to go back and check, but I'm sure Jeter has a silver. Bonds has a silver and a gold. So some players are on both. I actually have the silver one as well, but the gold is my favorite. I know McGuire has a silver and gold as well, embossed refractor.
Now, does the embossment actually make the glittering look even better because it sort of comes out of the card a little bit?
No, it doesn't really affect the shine. It just gives another dimension to the card. Because there are unreleased variations of this card. Like you'll see them on eBay where they're not embossed and they don't have the decal edge. and the
Right.
shine looks the same.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, the emboss just adds an extra dimension to the card, but it doesn't really add to the shine or anything like that.
No, that is really cool. I mean, I think that's a perfect example of what makes the 90s so amazing. I mean, you got an embossed card, you got the deckled edge, you've got a refractor with all these sparkles and shines. I mean, nothing compares to that card.
Basically the refractor coating uses the same technology as the atomic refractors that you see from 97 Bowman's Best.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the same technology on the embossed refractors.
Did you have to peel that as well, Nate, or did it come with no peel on it?
The embossed, as far as I know, didn't come with a protective coating on them. I've never seen one with a protective coating. I think that they were released without that protective coating. I could be wrong, but I believe they were released without the protective coating.
Well, I don't want to plug it too much because we're going to have him on the podcast here in I don't know, a couple weeks, maybe a month or so. We're going to try to get Brant, who does 90s box breaks. And I don't know if either of you saw it, but a Frank Thomas Gold embossed refractor came out of a box. It was wild. So I think you're right. I remember when it came out, it didn't have a film on there. So
yeah, I've never seen an example with a film.
Okay. Cool.
That was an unbelievable pull. I remember when that post came. I was like, how is that possible?
What's the odds?
What are the odds?
Yeah, do you know what the odds are on that card off the top of your head?
It's probably like 1 per case or something like that.
Okay.
I mean, the stated print run is between 25 and 30. Nobody really knows, but it's somewhere in there.
That's awesome, man. To see a card that rare come out of a box was incredible. But yeah, we don't want to stay on that topic for too long. We'll have to talk about that more. But all right, well, I know that's a tough act to follow, Alan. But again, I've prefaced that you are just still getting your feet wet in the 90s, and I mean, yeah, I think you're right now probably having the same reactions a lot of people are going to be watching, saying, "Oh my gosh, that card is so amazing! I need to do more research about it."
But that card, I still know, even after a whole year, I know so little about the 90s that when it was described to me from the box break as a golden embossed die cut refractor, it didn't register with me. Like, I've seen the card before, so I knew how amazing it is, and I know that it holds a special place in collectors' hearts. But when it was described to me, it didn't click. And finally, when Brant showed me that grainy picture, I was like, is this really the card that I think it is? And then looking at the odds right now, the odds of pulling it is 1 out of 1,152 packs to get some player. So multiply that by 50 to have a shot at the Frank Thomas.
Wow, what an amazing pull that was. Awesome. Well, Nate, that's an incredible card, man. I'm surprised you didn't say that for the very end. I don't know how you're going to be able to top that now.
I got stuff.
I got stuff. Yeah, you just have a couple of Barry Bonds cards. I think like, 10 or 15, something like that?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Hey, Alan, good call on research on the odds on that one.
Yeah, it's insane, man. It's unfathomable, actually. I can't even
It's a pallet hit, not a case hit.
That's like one in 50,000 packs, basically, is the chances of hitting that. So the next card I wanted to show is, I guess, the namesake of this very program.
Yeah, man, there we go.
This is the 1997. I believe it's the first year that this sort of subset was released. And I actually didn't think too much of it when I saw it, just because I love the 1998s so much. That's the most popular one. So I kind of brushed off all the other sets. And that was a mistake, because when our friend Greg, who isn't here with us today, but I'm sure will be on the next broadcast, made a point of showing how the center part of this card is actually see-through. I mean, he passed it in front of his computer, and for the first time I realized you can actually see through it. And there's a purpose for it, because it's a cloudy sky. So it's not just a random see-through. They really thought about the overall design of the card. And like I said, I didn't think much of it because it doesn't pick up that well in scans. And even those videos that I've seen of it where people sort of shine it to show how the star looks, it just doesn't do the card justice. When you see it in person, you realize that it's like a 3D shine. It reminds me of those like Hubble telescope shots deep into space where it looks so far you can see galaxies and they look like stars. I don't want to overblow it, but that's how much I like this card. And so it's one of the cards that I keep sort of outside of my shoebox, which is where I keep all my cards. most often to look at it.
It doesn't get any better than that when you combine astrophysics and 90s baseball cards. That's pretty much the pinnacle of collecting right there.
That's what Alan's good at, man. He knows how to combine all these different things just to reference a card. I love it.
Yeah, I have clearly I have no idea what I'm talking about. But before I move on to one of your cards, I do want to dwell a little bit on the fact that this is in a PSA 9 case. In this case, to me, it matters because I happen to be super anal about card condition, and I've just realized about myself since the last time I was a guest on the show that the thing that makes me most happy about a card is obviously the card itself, but also whether it looks minty when I first look at it. And so it actually brings a lot of value to me when a card looks like this. It's like virtually perfect.
Yeah, no kidding, man. I mean, that's one of the things. I had just had this thought the other day, and I'm Nate, you're picking up Bonds cards still. You know, obviously Alan is. It's amazing that we can pick up a card and it's still in amazing condition. I mean, the cards are 20 years old. Who knows how many times they've gone in and out of top loaders. You know, that's when I see those old screw downs, I almost like get excited because it's like this thing probably got out of a pack, went into a screw down, got put in there, and the case is all like yellow, scratched up, just looks nasty. But the card itself is in great condition, probably because it went straight in there. So I think it's really hard to find, and I like raw cards. I think most of Nate's cards are raw too, but I like them raw, just my preference. But to think that they're still in good condition seems to be, it's going to become rarer and rarer to find them in even decent condition, you know?
Yeah. Interesting that you mentioned that because I do get a lot of the tough to find cards, and when I receive them in the mail, a lot of times I'm like, it's not perfect, but you know what? Where are you going to find another one? And so I have to enjoy it for what it is.
Right. It's almost kind of like the allure of those older cards. I mean, I know, Alan, you probably had your OCD would kick in, but I just got a die cut in from like this rare die cut from a retail product, and I immediately turned it over and I could see little tiny things along the outside. I'm just like, you know what? Just let it go. You can barely notice it because like Nate's saying, I mean, it's still, I've never seen one. So when's the next time I'm going to see one, let alone see one in good condition? We've had this debate before, Alan, about busting cards out, but I would say that that's one of the few PSA 9s that's probably never going to come out of there.
Well, I think it's one of the things that 90s purists are pretty uniform about. Most people don't care that much about condition because a lot of these cards are so rare, and you can still appreciate the beauty of the card. I came from like 80s collecting and rookie card collecting, so that's something that I focused on a lot. I just wanted to talk about one more thing about this PSA case, which is that when I first got the card and I turned it over, you can see that this is out of 99. I don't know if you can see the number exactly, but the edges, they were a different color, and I thought it was because there was some kind of water stain, but it turns out it's because, a lot of these cards from the 90s, they bow as they come out of the pack. So when you put them in a slab like this, oftentimes the middle band of the card pushes up against the front part of the glass, and then the back edges push up against the back. And so the pressure that these corners are exerting on the back pane is changing the way it looks to the eye. And that kind of worries me because you know how in these holders, oftentimes these cards can rattle around. This card is so tight and secure that it doesn't move at all. And I'm just worried that, in 10, 20 years, if I don't want to switch the holder and I open it up, it's just going to pull off some of the coating of this card. That's what I'm really worried about. So I want to send it in to PSA and get it reholdered with the Mylar sleeve option that they let you have. And then they can decide on the spot whether they want to grant you that little, basically soft sleeve that they put it in before they put it in one of these holders. And I just hope that actually, protects the card a little bit better.
Yeah.
Protect it now. I
think BGS is known for using those sleeves in their graded cases. I know I talked about that on an earlier podcast when we were taking cards out of graded cases. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's a safe bet. I mean, if you really want it in a graded case, then resend it in, man. Go for it.
Will do.
Well, I heard you say the word uniform, and you know how I like segues on here, so I'm going to go with let's see if you guys can figure out where I'm going. But when I was growing up collecting, right before I stopped, which is around 2000, 2001, when A-Rod left the Mariners. Funny coincidence there. I remember jersey cards were kind of like a big deal, cards from their pieces of jerseys from their uniform in cards. And I thought that is just the craziest idea. Why would anybody do that? Like, it's cool, but it kind of was just a strange idea. And they started doing it in 1997, Upper Deck did. And I also remember Leaf did it with like a Frank Thomas set. But Upper Deck did it in 97, and the cards went crazy. There was just like Griffey and a Ray Ordonez. I can't remember who else was in there. It was only a couple other players. And the Griffey is just like, it goes for astronomical amounts. But the next year they had A-Rod in the set, jerseys and bats, and I was able to pick up the jersey not too long ago, maybe a little over a year ago. And it was only like $20, which in my mind is just insane because this is like 1 out of 2,500 packs to get a game used card. And so I thought, man, that's just how is the value so low? But it carries a lot of nostalgia for me, you know, because it's even though it's a little tiny towel thing of a jersey there, these were incredibly tough and incredibly, well sought after cards back in the 90s. And I absolutely love it. I mean, it's not one of my cards that I have that I think is worth a ton to everybody else, but to me, I remember going into a card store in the late 90s and seeing those game used jerseys, and then everybody would like go to that part of the case, those big glass cases that were warm with the lights, and you'd walk over there and look at the cards. Everybody wanted to see the game jersey cards. So I was pretty stoked to grab that for sure.
Those are definitely fun when they first came out. Something much different than anybody had really ever seen before. Kind of feel like I remember touching the relics when they first came out. I'm like, oh, this guy wore this jersey or used this piece of wood in their bat, and I just,
Right. Well, now everybody makes these cards now, right? Like if you saw this card of A-Rod from a 2019 product, it'd go for like $2, because every single set has tons of these. They're like way, way, way overproduced. But back then in the 90s, I mean, nobody did it. It was a very new idea. And these actually came from, a jersey that he wore in a game, most likely a spring training game or something like that. But just an awesome idea. And like I said, pure nostalgic value for me on that one. And it'll always be, one of my favorites.
That's a really cool thing that you actually get to experience, because for me, I stopped collecting between about 1994 and 2018. So I missed pretty much everything that happened in between then, including the jersey thing. I actually didn't know that they put jersey or relics in cards until about 2006 or 2007 when I walked randomly into an LCS. And I was just like, what is going on with cards these days? And then I kind of walked right back out. So I didn't actually know too much about it. For you guys that have been there and collecting when these broke, that's actually really cool, And also, isn't that card one of the ones you looked up in one of the old Beckett's, and it was actually worth like a lot of money or something when it first came out?
Yeah, like $350.
Yeah.
The bat was worth more, apparently, for some reason. I mean, I guess that was more desired. I think the jersey is cooler, in my opinion. But I mean, I don't know. Yeah, they were worth a lot. I mean, Nate, can I ask you real quick? You were getting into card collecting in the 98 or so, you said, like 98, 97, 98 with refractors. Do you remember seeing those in card stores at all, the jersey cards?
The first time I ever saw a jersey card, it was a Jerome Bettis patch card, which he's a football player. And I remember looking at it and I was just like, that's unusual. I didn't really think much of it. And they'd probably been around for a couple of years before I started collecting them. And then once I got my first one, I remember just looking at it and touching the relic and all of it, and then I was hooked.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I know we all have our own little experiences when we see those cards for the first time, because they were really unique for their time, and then go from about 2000, 2001. I mean, everybody was making them. So, but yeah, for the late 90s, that's definitely a card up there for me. All right, Nate, you're up next. Are you keeping with the game used jersey theme? I'm guessing not.
No, but you know what? But we will have symmetry, and the reason why I say that is I'm going to show off a graded card. So, nice. so your relic card will be sandwiched between a couple of graded cards.
There we go.
But this is the 1997 Pinnacle Inside Edition. Diamond Edition, Barry Bonds. And as many of you collectors know out there, back in 97 and 98, Pinnacle actually put packs inside of a can. And you had to open the can with a can opener. And then when you pull out the pack, there'd be like, I think there was like 10 cards in a pack or something. And these Diamond Editions are really, really tough to find. I think it was like one per box, which was 24 or 48 cans. I'm actually not quite sure how many cans, But so many of these things are still sealed because people like to collect the can and have it sealed. And you could still find these pretty plentiful, the sealed cans. They're out there. So to find one of these diamond editions is really, 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 really tough. And I typically, like you guys, I don't really collect graded cards, but I don't mind having this one graded because you can see it has this die cut border on the top and the bottom, kind of like a saw blade. And these cards are notoriously damaged where this die cut is. I'll see if I can kind of show it, but it's just very fragile there. So I'm guessing this card was pulled very recently and sent into PSA because it is in the Lighthouse holder. I've seen 2 of these show up since I started collecting bonds. And then I know of another one that was listed and sold on COMC. So 3 of them that I know of that are out there. I don't know how many more are out there, but these are super, super tough. This one showed up on eBay a while ago, and after negotiating with the seller, I finally got it at the price I was willing to pay. I think I paid about $100 for it.
Yeah, those are white whales, man. I remember a lot of you from the group posting pictures of those, and I feel like it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I was bidding on one, and I really didn't understand, like, why is this card going for so much? Because like Alan when I was collecting, like you now, Alan, I was like, I really don't understand what the big deal is with these, you know? And so come to find out, after the auction went for like, you know, $50, I go, okay, I need to figure out what's going on here. And I come to find out they were really, really, really tough to find. And so again, Brent, what's up, dude? Thanks for the card. He hooked me up with one of those, and I can't be happier. It's one of the coolest cards, again, because of the story, you know, like you said, Nate. I mean, there's so many of those probably sealed up in a can somewhere, you know, and the cards stick together, I've heard, quite badly. So you have to find one in good condition is really, really rare. So yeah.
And this is another example of a card also that is super tough to find, very low print run, but it's not serial numbered.
Now, can you imagine if it was? Holy smokes.
Yeah, I really don't know what the stated print run on this card is, but it's got to be well under 100, just because I know of 3 that have surfaced in the last 20 years. I would say really collecting hardcore bonds the last 18 years. I know of only 3 that have surfaced. So they don't show up very often.
What do you think, Alan?
I think Eric Johnson from our 90s group, I think it was him, who made a funny comment about how those are like impossible to put into sleeves or take out of sleeves just because of the ridges on the sides. And for somebody like me who is really trying to pay attention to this stuff, even now without the numbering, like I obviously don't realize how rare it is. The first time I heard of this card, I still remember, was I was watching one of Ben Franklin's YouTube videos. And he talked about opening something like 80 of these cans with a can opener, which I just find like hilarious. Just the image of somebody having 80 cans.
Where was the YouTube video back then, man? No kidding.
Yeah. Ben never broke them on camera, but he used to. I remember we would talk all the time, and he was like, "Oh, I just picked up 24 more of those 97 Pinnacle Inside. I'm going to look for a Diamond Edition." He didn't pull a single Diamond Edition on all the cans that he opened.
Not even one of any player. So that tells me how difficult it really is to pull these. And I actually thought it was my conversation with him after I was a guest on this show the last time that caused the brush fire in our group. But that wasn't the case. It was that you had brought up this card already, Matt, and I didn't even know that that was the card you were referring to. As you talked about it, you were saying, you know, I think you mentioned that you didn't appreciate it when it came out. And then all of a sudden, everybody has this card or the one that comes the year after. Yeah. I think like 20 different people in the group posted the card. Yeah,
we went a little crazy with that day. We did.
So jealous.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Definitely keep your eye out for one, man. They're a white whale. I mean, I remember Alan Hardy. He had one who we've had on the show as well. He's like, Matt, if you ever are able to get one of these, go for it. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm super, super stoked to have it. It's, I know we all are. When you talk about how rare these cards are, I think it brings more appreciation to the fact that we have these, in my opinion.
Yep. Yeah, my good friend Jason is actually busting a few of the cans. His channel is Mr. Fisher Bike, and he's been purchasing a few of those Pinnacle Inside cans, looking for the Diamond Edition. So I'm sure he'll bust a few more cans. I think he's busted about 10 or 12 of them in the last week or so, and has yet to find a diamond edition. So it'd be pretty exciting to see somebody pull any player.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd be really happy to see that, just to see what it was like. It's almost like seeing, another card that we'll talk about come out of a pack would be nuts. But Alan, you're up. Let's go for another one, man. What do you got for us?
Okay, well, I heard Jerome Bettis. I wasn't sure if the card that Nate was talking about was from his Pittsburgh days or his Rams days, but it relates to Pittsburgh. Okay, Pittsburgh. Well, it relates to the next card I'm going to bring up. This is a card that's not really a mystery to most people who've paid attention to the area that we collect in, the 90s, and that is the 99 Fleer Brilliance Gold. I got this card sort of as a consolation because the more rarefied and super expensive and super desired 24 karat was on COMC, I think, for about $2,500, and that's just outside of my price range. And I was just like, if this is how much it's going to cost, it's probably going to be more expensive after this. I probably won't ever be able to get it, so why don't I just get the next best thing and check these out? And I remember when I actually took this out of the bubble mailer that it came in. This card came in the same packet as my Tech Reciprocal and the other card that I was talking about that I love so much, the Triumvirate Illuminator, or Luminescent. When it came out, I was actually disappointed because the shine didn't look like the shine that Tanner Jones showed when he showed his Conseco.
No.
And that's because in my mind, I had it in my mind that it was going to look like this, which is actually an Isaac Bruce football card, but it's from the same set. And I picked it up so that I could see what the shine looks like. And it is amazing. But, now that I've had time to think about it and sort of look back on my collection, this actually turns out to be one of the nicest looking cards I have, especially the way the wording down there, Bonds, glistens. It's just beautifully done. It's extremely tasteful. I think the font is like some sort of weird Greek or like Roman font, and I actually prefer it to somebody was mentioning how the cycle of cards as they're released, it's like baseball gets released early in the year or something, and football gets released later, and they work out the kinks, but they made a decision to change the font there at the bottom. But I actually prefer the one that they have in baseball the most. So I love this card. It's numbered out of 99, so these are really rare, right? I mean, they're not out of 24, but they are extremely tough to find.
I got a funny story about the 24 karat version of that card, and I've been the one that I know has it, and I'm hoping to pick. He's probably not going to ever sell it to me, but
anyway. The 24 karat, somebody who has it?
I don't know him personally. It's a completely unrelated channel to baseball cards, but the guy it's like an ASMR channel, and the guy did a video showing off some old baseball cards, talking about how they're not worth money, and the guy has a Barry Bonds 24 karat gold, and I've been bothering him off and on for about the past 5+ years if he's ready to sell it to me or not.
Oh my God.
No luck yet, huh?
No luck yet, man. But he laughs at me and he says, "Boy, you are persistent."
You gotta be, man.
The reason I was inspired to get this card was because I was watching one of Nate's many famous videos. He was going through one of his rummages, and just happened to pull this card out. I was on a treadmill listening and watching his his show, and I saw it. I was like, that's actually a beautiful card. I think I need to get one. And so I went out and got one for myself.
Yeah, Nate, thanks for all the inspiration on the rummage videos. I called you out on that last episode. He'd be like, oh, yeah, refractor. Here's another nice card. We'll pull that one already. And like, he's just going through. I'm like, holy smokes, this guy. Like, that was before I was doing YouTube. But it's interesting that you brought that card out, Alan, because that was I remember it. I was going to get them out, but that was my second purchase I ever purchased when I got back into collecting, was that one. It was only like $20 for an A-Rod. I thought, wow, this is pretty cheap for a card out of 99. I got that and an upper deck die cut out of 100. But yeah, it's really, really hard to beat that. I don't know if I'll ever see a 24 karat in my hands. I know somebody who's got one, and I doubt he's ever going to sell it. But I've seen plenty of pictures of it, and it's beautiful. Let me tell you that. So
at least you get to see an image.
Yeah, well, he did. I posted like I'll give a bounty, right? Like a $5 bounty for anybody that can find one of these for sale. And he's like, actually, can I have $25? I got all 5 you need right here. And he like put them in a picture. I'm like, oh, yeah,
killing you.
Yeah, thanks, Brant. Appreciate that. But anyways, I did find one that he was going to sell me, but thankfully I did have already. But man, I don't know if it gets better than like shine and rainbow on a baseball card. But Flair Mystique did it well. And this is the 1999 Flair Mystique established. And my camera is going to do no justice with this card. Can I go out on a limb and say Barry Bonds is probably not in this set?
He's not in that set. You're killing us.
I know, man. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it on purpose, I promise. But
great job, man.
You can kind of see the shine a little bit. But what I love about this card is like look at the back. The back's almost better than the front. Look at that.
Yeah, my buddy Eric has the Mark McGuire, Titanic Taters has the Mark McGuire. And when I saw that thing in hand, I was just like, wow, I wish Bonds was in this set.
Yeah, they did a great job with this card too, especially because if you see kind of with the player profile, it's black and white. And it's got like the circular rainbow action going on. It's Flair Brilliance and Flair Mystique, man. They did their cards, their inserts, and their parallels right. And then the numbering, it's one of the only cards I've ever seen numbered with red foil, like the name. It's just such a unique looking card. But like I said, I like looking at the back just as much as I like looking at the front. You know what I mean? The back is just so sick. And I overpaid like crazy for this. It was the second most I've ever paid for a card up until I got the one recently that my last one I'll show. But I did because I knew I was going against a set collector, and I was not going to miss it again. I'd missed on 2 just because I wasn't paying attention. And I was not going to be denied. And I'm glad that that I did not, because it's definitely a card that if you have it displayed, which I'm going to be working on, as I told you guys, that's a card somebody goes, oh, even if you don't know anything about collecting that card, you go, oh yeah, that card's really beautiful, So I had to show that off. I think if anybody listening or watching can find an established of any player, just go for it. I mean, you won't regret it. It's amazing. And sorry, Barry Bonds isn't in there either. But hey, that's one less card you guys have to worry about, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't make it better.
For sure.
It doesn't make it better? All right. Well, I mean, you guys got your 97 finest. That counts for like every card I've shown that Barry's not in. So
there you go.
Yeah.
It all works out in the end.
All right. Well, let's get back on the track with the Bonds cards that he is in an insert set of. What are you going with next, Nate?
All right. So the next one I'm going to show is the 1999 finest. And then this is the team finest, and this is the gold refractor parallel. Now what's neat about this card is this is an insert set within the 1999 finest. It's not part of the base set. And then there are non-refractor versions that are red, blue, and gold, and then the refractor versions that are also red, blue, and gold. This is the toughest one out of all of them to find. Absolutely beautiful card. The rainbow looks fantastic when you put all 3 of them next to each other. And when I say the rainbow, I'm referring to the refractor rainbow. Mm-hmm. And then it's got the stamp numbering on the back. And then also this is one of those finest cards where they have that rainbow refractor technology on the back.
Very nice.
Well, what you'll notice about the back is it's not etched. So this is what like a modern refractor will look like on the front. And that's what the modern refractors are missing. No etching. But then, of course, when you go to the front, you get that extra dimension. But these cards are fantastic. Absolutely beautiful. You don't see a lot of refractors or numbered inserts numbered to 25 or less, especially when it's, part of a insert set. So
right. Well, people
really nice
aren't going to be getting rid of those. I mean, think about it. Who's going to get that card and say, this doesn't look very nice. Let's just go ahead and throw it up on eBay. No, it's no wonder we don't see them.
I'll take it out of the team bag.
Yeah,
now you can really see the shine.
That's awesome. Yeah. What's the story behind that? I have to ask because I'm really curious to see how collectors pick up rare cards. Were you just browsing eBay and like, oh, that looks awesome. Where'd this come from? Boom, buy it now, or did you make a trade, or where did that come from?
I bought this on eBay, and basically, I have pretty much every single Barry Bonds refractor that features Barry Bonds only, with exception of the 98 Golden Anniversary Bowman refractor. and then a couple of red refractors, and of course all the one of ones.
Right.
But other than that, I have every Barry Bonds refractor. So for years and years and years and years, I would look 4 or 5 times a day for Barry Bonds refractors. And anytime one popped up that I didn't have, I was going to bid very aggressively. I never lost any. I won them all. Everything that I didn't have, I won every single one.
So you were eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for about 2 months just to make sure you could get them, right?
I suppose that happened from time to time.
Yeah, that's a joke that Alan and I have. That's awesome, man. I love that the refractor is on the back too. Holy moly.
Yes.
Yeah,
so awesome.
that shine.
I think I'm really cheap. I can be bought by the fact that there's a refractor finish on the back. I just absolutely love when they decide to do that. And I've seen Nate show this card off before, and I will admit that I didn't find it particularly impressive, even though Nate was hyped about it. But now that I'm looking at it right now with the rainbow shine or whatever it's called, that card is amazing. I want one badly.
Yeah, and you don't have to go after the gold. You could go after the blue. The blue is numbered to 150, and the red's numbered to 50. And then the gold, that's what this one is numbered to 25. But you could pick up the blue. They pop up maybe once or twice a year or so. But I think a lot of set collectors go after these. They want every player and the whole rainbow of every player. It's a popular set. These sell really well. So.
All right, that makes sense because I lost out on a red A-Rod refractor, same team finest, and it went for way more than I thought. And so now I know why. I mean, I haven't really seen one in person. I guess that explains that. So I'll have to keep my eye out.
Yeah, they're beautiful cards.
Well, what do you guys say? I think we got enough time to do one more. We'll do one more card each that we really want to show off and tell collectors about. We'll end with, and then we'll end with a recent pickup that we're really proud of, really happy with. I think it's been a real fun episode, but let's end on a high note here. Alan, can you do that for us?
Well, I can't help myself but put up one of my favorite cards of all time, which most people know by now, and that's the Crusades. This is the Crusades green. It's the call to arms. It's the pack released bonds that came out, in packs. What, in 1998 was it?
Yep.
It's out of 250, as you can see. And you guys are talking about the rainbow finish. That's a great description because I talked earlier in the episode about how not all shine is created the same. And this video and scans just don't do this card justice. You really have to hold the card up to your own face in person in natural light to be able to appreciate how truly gorgeous this card is. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a seal in the background. It's like a Roman seal, maybe to recall the Crusades, the Roman Crusades or the religious Crusades from back in the day. But I don't know if it's considered embossed or what, but it's ridged. And so the reason I asked Nate if the 97 embossed refractor, the embossment changes the gleam, is because it certainly does on this one. It changes the way light is bent. And so it's almost a psychedelic rainbowy glare on your face. And it's amazing. And it's only the green. It's not even the purple, which I know Nate has. And I know Matt has.
I'm looking at it right now, man. I'm just trying to wonder. It's got the same seal on there, man. But you're right. The green has a bit of a different, kind of, maybe because green's a bit of a lighter color. It stands out a bit more.
Yeah.
Those cards are so beautiful. They almost look like liquid metal. It feels like if you were to touch it, your fingers will get wet. That's how beautifully shiny those cards are.
They really, really are. And given how quickly these cards seem to be going up in price, I don't even know if I'll be able to afford a purple when it comes up, because right now the prices on eBay are ridiculous. And I'm looking at the PWCC eBay, completed auctions that you were talking about, Matt. And even just a couple of years ago, you could get a purple for maybe even less than $100. I don't even, I don't know how far back you'd have to go, but there's a long time before people started paying attention to these. And I think that's it. This is the last time in history people aren't going to know what these are. These are going to go down in history as some major cards to get from this period.
Yeah, those 98 Crusades, Nate, you were talking about, the Pinnacle Insights trying to get pulled. Can you imagine pulling these from a pack of anybody? Like I can't even imagine. These were packed out in 98 Donruss, I believe, and also some other 98 Donruss products, some side products, correct?
Yeah, they were released in multiple products, so it wasn't just one brand that had the Crusade cards. And I'm not exactly sure what cards were distributed and what product, but I know that it's a multi-product release.
Yeah, those are super. I mean, unique. I mean, we've talked about Crusades before, and we're mentioning them again. And it's funny. I had my 2 in my stack here. I'm like, if nobody brings up Crusades, I will definitely have to do it. But now Alan's taking care of that, so thank you. That was a great card. Well, I'm going to show one that I don't think many people are expecting. We did a Pacific episode last episode, which a lot of people really enjoyed. It was awesome having you on, Nate, to really talk about just how many rare parallels Pacific has. And so I did not bring one out for that episode, but I have to show this one off. I remember looking through, Brant was showing me his collection, and he pulled this card. I said, hey, can you show that again? I've never seen that before. And it's just from 1999 Pacific Omega, and it's a 5-tool talent insert, but this is the parallel out of 25.
Oh, I love that card.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a really simple design, but I remember thinking, like, because you can see the numbering, it's very small up here, but I was like, another one's never going to show up. And I kept trying to work out a deal. And Brant was like, look, man, I mean, this is a super rare card. You're probably not going to see another one. I mean, so I just couldn't do it. Some guy threw one up on eBay for a low price. I was like, I couldn't click it fast enough, man. I was like, holy smokes, no way. So anyway, so the 5-tool talents are pretty unique because there's different tiers of this parallel. There's the base, which are not numbered, and then there's different tiers. There's the defensive standouts, the 300 hitters, the rookies, the power hitters, and the pitchers. So clearly Bonds has to be in here, right? There's no way he's not.
He's in that set, yes.
Okay, good. And I'm, of course, can I just predict he's in the power hitters? He's got to be in the power hitters.
Yeah, his parallel's numbered to 99 or 100. I can't remember.
Okay, right. So they're fun cards to chase. I always thought, I mean, the base cards are not that cool to look at, but man, this insert set is really, really nice. I mean, Pacific did this one well. They've got different colored foil for the parallel, just a nice clean background, nice picture on it. I mean, I love this card. Super, super stoked to get it. I mean, I noticed a flaw, but that's like Alan. I can't help it. It doesn't bother me too much, but definitely a fun card to chase. It really epitomizes Pacific, and in like an ugly base card product, you can have something as amazing as that hiding in a box. So that was my last one I wanted to show off. I mean, just to kind of shout out Pacific again. There's so many inserts out there that your heart will be, happy looking at all of them for sure.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad you brought that one up, though. That may be my favorite card from Pacific that I've seen. I know Chuck of Cal Ripken fame from our group put that card up as one of his many daily cards. And when I saw it, I was like, I must get that card. That card is very, very high on my list. I think I finally identified somebody who has it. So now it's just a matter of finding a way to pry it from his hands.
Well, I want to shout out Chuck because he watches every episode. Chuck, we're all waiting for you to run out of cards to show, man. I mean, I feel like this has been going on for like 2 months. It's amazing. I mean, he's showing off cards that I have and then some that I don't. I'm like, oh man, don't remind me. And of course, he broke out the Quantum Leap one time, and I'm like, yep. Can I dislike this picture? But no, it's amazing, Chuck. You got an awesome collection, man. So
yeah, it's great to have collectors like that in the group, just to show you what a collection could look like if you keep looking and trying to find those really rare cards.
Well, it's endless, man. The 90s is you won't run out. I mean, if you find a player that was semi-decent in the 90s, even like somebody like Dante Bichette or Larry Walker, I mean, you can find their cards all over insert sets and parallels. I mean, there's so many. So, I mean, this is just a little tiny piece of the picture, the full picture. But all right, Nate, you are up next. You're gonna be the last person to show a card. So this better not be like a base card from 90 Topps or something.
I won't disappoint.
All right.
All right. So this is it's a skybox, and it is the Molten Metal Fusion Gold.
So
this card's absolutely beautiful. And what you'll notice on the silhouette is it's like a dot matrix. You can kind of see my finger through there. Mm-hmm. But see that? Those are like holes in the card. If I could show the back, you can kind of see it.
Nice.
But and then also where it's serial numbered, it's laser inscribed right there. And I have a funny story about when I picked this card up. When I picked it up, I did not know what it was. It was in a showcase at my LCS, and they had it for $20.
Oh my gosh.
And I told the guy, "Oh, I'll give you 15 for it." And then when I got home, I thought it was, when I saw the side of the card, I thought it was number 39 of 50 in the set.
Right.
Like there were 50 cards in the set, and Bonds was number 39 of 50 in the set. And then I turned the card around, and it said 22F right there. And I'm like, is that serial numbered? And I did a little bit of research, and I got lucky. The guy at the card shop didn't know what it was, and I didn't know what it was, but the base card like books for $20 in this insert set. There's like 3 different cards in the set. There's the base, and then there's one that's numbered to 500, and then this one numbered to 50. But I realized that this was the parallel numbered to 50. And I was like, I can't believe I did not realize what this card was. But they show up so infrequently, and I wasn't really familiar with Skybox and some of the inserts at the time when I got this card. I just kind of, dumb luck, got a hell of a deal on this card. But absolutely beautiful. I love how the foil shines where the Molten Metal Fusion logo is, and the berry on Barry Bonds. The font really shines. I love the silhouette with the dot matrix, kind of the see-through dot matrix here. Just absolutely beautiful card.
Yeah, the picture on the main picture of Barry is awesome too. I mean, they just did that card perfect. And you said that's from 99, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be, I mean, if I can just say this, I mean, it's tough to say 98, 99, which one's better. 99 might be one of the best years for inserts overall. I mean, the brilliance, you got the molten metal, you've got Mystique, Crusade in 98, it was great, but I mean, 99 is packed full of some incredible cards, man. And that's probably my favorite year to like open a box from too, because you never know what's going to be in there.
Yeah, I think 98's the best year just because Donruss was still around. They weren't around, and they were not around in 1999.
Right.
But this card is just fantastic. I love it.
I've only ever seen one A-Rod of like that go up on eBay, and it went for a substantial amount. So I was very educated on the card when it sold for bonkers amount of money. So
yeah, I imagine it sold for at least 300.
It was close. It was close.
Yeah. So yeah, those ones are pretty tough though. So I'm really happy to have it in my collection, and I mean sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, And that was a incident where I was very lucky to be able to obtain that card.
Well, we're hoping that a lot of LCS, owners don't watch this podcast because they're going to be like, wait, what do I have in the case that could be worth something? They're going to
tell me about
go back and go through. I mean, there's still the potential to get some good deals, but we're not going to go into that because we want to get all those deals, and we don't want to educate people on how to do that. So sorry. No. Anyways, there's still, that's what's cool about the 90s, man. You're not going to see a Mike Trout serial numbered card that's that low, even out of 50, go for too cheap because everybody knows about it, whereas like the 90s, there's still, Alan, you had a great story, didn't you? What happened? You went to that card show or an LCS of some kind, and you asked for 90s cards. And what did the shop owner say to you?
I don't remember what she said, but she looked at me very blankly. Like, what kind of cards are you exactly looking for here? I don't understand why you would want cards from that era at all. Aren't they junk? She actually said the word junk, I guess, because that's what those cards are associated with. And she has some amazing 90s boxes of football and basketball in particular. I don't have a mastery of the 90s, so I don't know what I'm looking at, but I know that those boxes are 1/10 of what they would probably draw on eBay right now. It's just that nobody cares about that stuff, and nobody collects. So, for me, at least the LCSs that are around me, I haven't been to Nate's favorite spot yet, but at least the ones that are around me, nobody collects Barry Bonds and nobody collects 90s stuff. So when I go, I can never find anything that I really want. It's always just modern and just a smattering of vintage.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I remember you told me he went in there, Nate, and she basically looked at him like, son, we don't have stuff like that here. Why would you ask?
That's hilarious. But you know what? That helps us 90s guys out because we're always on the hunt. And, a lot of times you just have to ask dealers, you have to be, just let me see them. Let me see what you have. I mean, you never know what you're going to find.
Right. Well, and there was some LCSs that I remember going to when I was in college in Arizona, and they're like, yeah, the 90s box is right over there. And I didn't have the patience or wherewith to know like what I was looking for necessarily. I should have just like been as knowledgeable as I am now and gone through and looked, and I could have found some incredible stuff, but that's okay. Now I'll still do that in the future. But let's end the show here, fellas. We always like to end, as you both know, you've been on here now. We always like to talk about a pickup that we've got, throughout the last couple of weeks since the last podcast. Alan, would you like to start off? Is there anything that you'd like to show that you've picked up in the last couple of weeks here?
That 5-tool card is a card that I'm just lusting after right now. And there's something about the orange that really does it for me, probably because I'm a Giants fan and I think Bonds looks really good in front of orange.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I really want that card. So I got maybe the next closest thing. This came in this week. I'm pretty stoked about it, actually. It's the Pacific Paramount 2000 from the year 2000. This is the premiere date. So it's out of, you can't really see it, but it's out of 50 right. That's there. Awesome. On the little gold medallion.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, initially we were going to do maybe a top 5, and this was going to be in my top 5. It's the shiniest, newest toy. It's the one that I have out closest to my pillow when I go to sleep. But this is a sick card. I mean, it's really plain, but there's something so classic about it. It's, it's an off-white beige border. It's a great action shot. And there's only 50 of these, I mean, I love it. It's the closest I can come to the 5-tool until I can finally land that thing.
Yeah, man, Pacific did it so well. I mean, we just spent a whole hour talking about it 2 weeks ago, but I'm still, it kind of reinvigorated me to look for more Pacific cards. I don't know about you, Nate. I mean, you have so many of them, but man, after we talked about Pacific and then seeing cards like that, I'm like, oh, I don't have this parallel or this one right here. Let me go see if I can find it,
Well, Alan, now we know where 2 of that card is, because I have a copy of it as well. And you're right, the border on that card is off-white, and the rest of them are a brighter white. So
really? I didn't know that because I don't have any of the other parallels.
Oh, so. Yeah. The other ones are a lot whiter than that one for some reason. Mine's off-white as well. I didn't realize that maybe they are all off-white. So I just learned something about that card tonight.
I just did. That's right. And Ben Franklin showed me the entire rainbow of this. So we know we're 3 of these cards now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. See,
every hardcore.
What's that?
Someone was saying, I think Alan was saying something about Ben.
Yeah. No, I mean, Ben is like, the Brant to me. He like, oh yeah, he's got that one. And I'm sure Nate experiences that with Ben. Nate's like, I wonder who has this. Oh, wait a sec. I know who has this card. He's probably got the card,
I'm just trying to keep up with the Barry Bonds elders. I know that Reese Pate from the Bonds group also showed off this card like a year and a half ago. I was just going through basically trawling our group to see what kind of cards are out there that I missed, that I didn't understand when I first saw them. So he has one as well. Yeah, that's an accomplishment for me.
All right, so we know where 4 of them are then.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome, man. These groups are so incredible. I know I've said that already, but speaking of the group, one awesome thing about our group is that we're always trying to help each other out as collectors. We're going out of our way to pick up cards for people or tell people where cards are at. I know I just did that for Alan. I'm super stoked for you to get that. Is it there yet?
I think it's here. Let me. Hey. Why don't you talk about your thing and I'll open it and see if it's
all right. Wonderful. So last weekend, a collector, Eric Johnson, in our group said, "Hey, there's a rare A-Rod on. Check out my cards." I just grabbed it. Do you want to buy it from me? And I had no idea how that works, how you can buy a card on there, but it doesn't get sent to you right away. They just hold on to it. So he found an Upper Deck Century Legends out of 100. And man, that actually shows off really good. You can't quite see there it is. Yeah, a little bit of shine.
Those cards are so beautiful.
Yeah, man.
I got one of the bonds of that.
So
is that right? It's so expensive.
Yeah, well, it normally is. And Eric, being the awesome guy that he is, snagged it for me and let me get it from him for the same price. Many people even commented, I can't believe I didn't get that card. It was such a good deal. So, I mean, a great pickup for me. But again, I just love, Nate, I've told you this before, man. The group is so incredible. And there's so many amazing people in there that are helping each other out all the time. That's what makes collecting the 90s. I don't know if it's like that in other eras, but it's what makes collecting the 90s so much fun for me, because we're always looking out for one another. and it, we're always talking about the cards, and so that's definitely a big one for me. I got to get in a mag soon. I feel a little weird having it just in a top loader, but yeah, big pickup for me. All right, Alan's got the card out. Is it there?
This is the one. I just got a random text from Matt that I need to go get this card. This card is awesome. Oh, I need the bonds of this, but oh my God. Thank you so much for looking out. You said, go get it. I bought it on the spot. I'm just like, I trust you. If you say it's awesome, I'm going to get it. And I'm just like,
those are, I almost showed it off. I'm not sure if you're going to show it or not. I didn't want to show mine because the fact that I knew that you probably had yours there. So yeah, man, those are super, super tough. They came out of a product that was super cheap. And I bet a quarter of those at least have been thrown in the trash because people didn't realize what they had. Seriously.
Sure.
That's what's so fun about the cheap, the tough to pull cards out of a cheap product.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm glad you got it, dude. You're gonna love it. You're gonna want to look at it more and more. Trust me. So, all right, Nate, you want to wrap up our episode for us? What you got?
Yeah. Actually, I'll show a mail day that I got today. But before I do that, I did want to show this one off in honor of Greg. He's out there, providing service for all the people fighting the storm. But this Frank Thomas, Kramer's Choice. I think it's, I can't remember what year it is. I don't have my glasses on right now, but this is one of those box topper Kramer's Choice, and it's numbered to 25.
Oh my God.
I found this card at a coin shop, and it was just sitting there in a coin shop. And I got a really good deal on it, but when I found out what the last one sold for, my jaw just about dropped and hit the floor. So I'm really glad to have this card temporarily in my collection. It is actually already spoken for a Frank Thomas collector. When I go to the National, I'm actually going to trade it with him.
Nice. Awesome.
But anyways, I'm happy to have it in my collection temporarily just because it's such a beautiful card. The background is just amazing. Not a lot of people like jumbo cards, but I think anybody that appreciates baseball cards wouldn't mind the fact that this card is a jumbo card.
And that's the first time
Absolutely
I've seen
beautiful.
the red one. I've seen plenty of the A-Rods that are jumbos that are just the regular box topper. I've never seen the red parallel of that before.
Yeah.
I mean, hold on. When you said it was in a coin shop, did you just walk right in and it was just sitting there on the shelf, or like, how does that even happen?
It was just, I mean, the guy at the coin shop had a few baseball cards. He had like a little showcase of baseball cards. His main focus there are coins. And it was like up against the wall, kind of leaning on top of a glass showcase, leaning from the showcase to the wall. And I grabbed it and I went and asked the guy how much he wanted for it. When he told me how much he wanted for it, I was like, well, that's a no-brainer. And then I looked it up, and one sold on eBay, the same card for $325 back in February.
That's amazing.
So this is a monster card. Must be very tough to find. And I think about when I showed this off in a couple of groups, 3 or 4 huge Frank Thomas collectors asked me, is it still available? And some of the Frank Thomas collectors I know have like 7,000 unique cards. So I know that it's a tough card to find for sure. That's a monster card right there.
And we've talked, Greg, another shout out for him. He mentioned getting one of those big like pyramid case things, glass cases that Pacific made to show those off. Put that in. One day I will get a jumbo and I will put just a base A-Rod in there, because I remember going into card shops in the 90s and they had those. Every dealer was sent this big pyramid plaque thing to hold one of the base cards in there, the box stoppers, to kind of, get people to buy Pacific that year. And man, what an awesome card. That's a nice way to wrap it up, Nate. That's awesome. Well, I do want to say to everybody watching, we hope you enjoyed the mini showcase. We didn't want to just be showing card after card after card. I think 90s cards, they all have a story. That's why this era of cards is just so much fun to collect in. We could sit here and talk for hours, which, by the way, we're really excited to do that in person. We get to do that in a little over a month here. We're all going to be in Chicago at the National. Man, I'm super excited to talk cards with you guys for 3-4 days straight. I mean, I'm probably not going to get tired of it either. It's going to be really, really fun to talk and just share more stories. And hopefully we can all leave with something new in our collections. I don't know about you, but I'm really looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy searching for those rare cards that that a lot of people may not appreciate.
I'm super excited. I'm just so excited about this coming up. I know that I'm just going to stand there like a sponge and just absorb information through osmosis. Just watch you guys talk cards. I'll be quiet, and listen because I don't have that much to bring to the table. But I cannot wait to be there with you guys and digging through some of these boxes, trying to, these little finds that you guys have, these little steals. There's just no way somebody like me, I feel like in this era, is going to be able to do what you old school guys have been able to do. But we'll see. The National is the one place where you'll be able to find out.
Well, and Nate, you brought up a really good point. The way that we are able to do that is just by how we're able to connect with one another. You send me a text, say, hey, Matt, you're not going to believe what's in this box over here. You need to get over here right now. Or like, hey, Nate, you got this Bonds already? Hey, Alan, you got this Bonds already? And all of us, of course, looking for Tim Salmon for Greg because nobody else is looking for Tim Salmon.
It shouldn't be hard to find, right?
Right. I mean, he'll stand out. There'll be a huge stack of them there. Nobody's going to want. No, I'm kidding. But
it's great to have a network of friends so that you have more than just one set of eyeballs looking for stuff for your personal collection. Absolutely. Yeah,
man, I'm super excited. I've been thinking about it every day, and I've talked to various people that have visited Sitka, and they say they're from Chicago. I'm like, oh yeah, what kinds of things can you do around the convention center there? And they're like, oh yeah, what are you going there for? So that's where I have to be like, oh, I'm going for like a sports convention, just to hang out with some friends. I don't really say I'm a baseball card collector, but yeah, really, really excited to go do that. So hey guys, thanks again for joining on such short notice. Really appreciate taking the time out. Obviously bummed that Greg couldn't make it, but he will be here for the next episode. And we would love to have you guys back again for another one, hopefully soon.
I appreciate it. This was a blast. It's good to see you guys. Let's do this again soon.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me come on at last second. It was a blast tonight. I needed this. It's always fun talking cards, and it'll get me head in the right direction for the weekend. And Alan, I'll see you on Sunday.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, have fun, guys. Have fun.
Okay.
See ya.